goodness. Nick, mic check. Can they hear you over the tavern?
I don't know. Can you? Hopefully.
I can.
We'll just go
I can. Yeah, well, loud and clear, loud and clear. Nick and I just got back from our flight discovering the history of paladins. We join you from the Undercity with our great host, the innkeeper, Norman.
He's been pretty good with the drinks. It's been
He's
tasty.
Yeah, he's been good. He's been good. He's a
little creaky.
Quiet guy. He's a little quiet. I'm Jordan, your host, and joining me as always is my co-host, Nick.
Hey everyone, today's episode is going to be a bit different. We have fewer updates than usual, so we'll have more time to dive into some of the deep discussions in our Tavern Talk section. Don't forget, as Jordan mentioned, we did just launch the first episode of our lore series. In our first episode, we were focusing on the lore behind the Paladin class. We aim for a more immersive format with that episode. Please feel free to provide any feedback on the format or additional lore content you would like to hear.
Absolutely. It was our first shot, for sure, at a lore episode.
Yep. I think we did really well with it.
No, you wrote it very excellently. Definitely check it out. See if we missed anything, right? So,
yeah, definitely
something to look at.
Yeah.
But we do have some interesting topics to cover. We're excited to share our thoughts and experiences with you all. But before we get to that, let's get to what we did this week in WoW.
Yes.
So I'll start us off. I ended up getting the heroic down on both my Evoker and my Mage this week. The first couple of bosses on my Evoker we did together, and then I cleaned it up a little bit. Dungeons, we did do some keys, but we struggled more than we usually do, for sure.
It was so frustrating.
I think we honestly got unlucky a bit, but our parses were fine. So I guess we don't have to get too much into it, but I guess so. Shrug, rough week for keys, right?
Oh god, we can get into it later, but man, it was something else for us.
Yeah, we'll talk to it more. Remember, pretty deep tavern talk today.
Very light on the hotfixes this week.
Yeah, an interesting change. I did play even more PvP this week. Nick and I did some twos, and we also did some skirmies.
They were great.
They were sick, and we'll talk a lot more about PvP in the Tavern Talk, but I had a lot of fun with the twos. And I did punish myself with solo shuffle again. I just can't help myself. I brought the mage through it as well, because she now has her staff to kind of be blasting with.
You did some good blasting on her, too. Because I think you used her in the 2v2s as well with the Evoker. Or did you just run the Evoker?
Just the Evoker in our twos, yeah. So, Cataclysm, I almost wonder if I missed the curve on this. I'm still not capped. I'm 30-something on my mage. So, I wonder if by the time I cap my character, it's going to be Dragon Soul time. And I'm like, nah. So, I'm not sure. And then Classic Hardcore, I'm a little baby-ass bitch, and I haven't wanted to do it. So,
yeah.
I need to man up and do some hardcore for sure.
I guess that's levels in it, and we had a great time doing it too.
We did. We had a scare with the Murlocs even.
Oh yeah, but it was great though. We had such and we still got to do what is the crypt. The crypt quest, it's level 13 when you do it, and we have to be extremely careful because we're both cloth wearers.
And we squish. We pretty squish. So I guess let's move on from me. That's enough about me. What did you do this week, Nick?
Well, as you'd mentioned, we did go raiding. I was able to get down 5 of 9 bosses in Amirdasill. Sadly, nothing good came about it, but it did push my vault up some, so I'll take it. Dungeons. We did do some dungeons, as you'd mentioned. The keys were not that hot for us. I tried doing them some myself. Ran into some of the same issues of having either a tank that really didn't know how to run through it, or DPS that couldn't do enough damage for the key level they were on, but they had the mythic score to get in there. So it's just somebody in the group had a bad day. People not running
frogs through the damn Hall of Infusion frog boss.
Yeah, and that was another issue. Because we got stuck in the Halls of Infusion key for so long. Oh my god, we both had...
The frog boss gets everybody, dude.
Yeah, no, it does. But I just wish one of us would have had a different key we could have pushed, because it would have made it so much better. Instead of us both having halls.
Smashing our head against the wall in halls, yeah.
Yeah. PvP. So, getting into PvP with you has been an absolute blast. We're doing absolutely fantastic. I love it in the 2v2s. we have a great mesh between the Evoker and the Ret Pally. I think my favorite time was when we ended up getting matched up against 2 Retribution Paladins while you had the Evoker and I was running the Pally. And we just had that small standoff where nobody wanted to get close to each other, and then we got them to come to us, and they instantly opened up with Hammer of Justice for the stun on me, and they just tried to nail you. Like, you were fighting for your life.
I blew all my cooldowns. Yep, I blew Temporal Conflux. I blew everything. But the cool part about that is they hurt themselves.
Oh, they did, definitely, because they had nothing. Once I got up and, like, focused on one, we were able to smack them so hard. Holy shit.
I mean, once we survived their burst, it was GG's.
No, exactly. Because I didn't burst at all. And then noticed that we had one down to about half health somehow. I don't know if it was you or my doing. And I just smacked him, turned around, and we smacked the other one together. And it was just so badass to take, one Rat Pally versus 2 with an Evoker healer. Like, it was just awesome. For
we did do some nasty stuff.
Yeah, no, we did great. For Cataclysm, didn't really do a lot. Very limited time this week for me on it. I did end up adjusting my ELV UI settings, which is the most I probably did. I maybe did one quest. And just like Jordan, because I'm not going to go into hardcore and play my character without him, I haven't touched it. So we're trying to do that together. We just got to carve out some time during the week, and Jordan has to actually want to do it. A fun thing I did end up doing in retail this past week, or 2 weeks I've been working on, is I now am running 3 paladins, all roughly as a main, and that's because I don't like having armor sets in my inventory because I have had the bad opportunity of selling pieces and then forget and I can't go rebuy them. And so what I've done is made 3 paladins. One is Ret, one is Holy, and one is Prot. And they will stay that way and get geared that way. So I basically have 3 mains to be 1 main. And I know it pisses Jordan off.
It's fine. It's fine. I just, I play a lot of different classes. So for me, that's just crazy.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Paladin's my go-to class, and it can do everything. And I'm like, oh, fuck it. Now I have 3 characters. And one of them is, if you listened last week when we talked about making alliance characters, one paladin is the most vanilla character in World of Warcraft, a human paladin. So, even though we shit on the alliance, I'll still go back to where I started.
I have not played my blue alien.
Not changing. I love the Horde. It's so much better. That wraps up my week. Jordan, do you want to go into what the guild has done this week?
We did get to hang out with some guildies this week. We hung out with, we've previously referred to him as Dalendor, but he goes as Necromage, actually, online. And he joined us for some dungeons. We did some heroic dungeons with just the 3 of us, Nick, Necro, and I, just to get him some easy gear, and he couldn't queue for heroic, so we'll just get him through it. And I was absolutely impressed. For never playing World of Warcraft before, he was phenomenal at the mechanics. Never seen any of these dungeons. Listening to what I'm saying. Don't stand out of the middle, in the middle.
Yeah,
stand behind the pillar.
He listened, and he did fantastic in what content we brought him through.
Absolutely phenomenal. Very, very strong, mechanically focused, very perceptive. He had literally just learned Warrior that day. I walked him through. I was like, this spell, here's your cooldowns. I didn't tell him about...
we sat there in a training dummy for, I think, an hour or so prior to even going into any content.
Well, it wasn't an hour.
No, maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
But walked him through what Warrior be doobin', and then he done doobie. So, really impressed. I'm really excited to keep playing with him, for sure. And so we also did some LFRs with the guild this week, didn't we, Nick?
Yes, we did end up bringing other guildies through an LFR this week. One of them specifically had decided to build a Holy Paladin and is geared enough to go through LFR, but didn't have the confidence to go heal it. So what we ended up doing was healing in normal. And so what we ended up doing was just running through the LFR with him and walked him through how to heal specific encounters, boss fights, what to watch out for, and what his main role is in every single fight. Because as you've run through Amirdasill, you know that the healers have specific content they have to do. Saving that tree with what's the boss's name?
The brambles.
Yeah, the brambles.
That's
You have
Laradar.
to save the brambles or you die. Like, you'll wipe. So it
Yep.
was great. We were able to
And the
bring.
trance.
Yeah, it was a great week for the guild because we were able to bring multiple guildies up, whether it was endgame experience and building their experience of the game and how to play the game and be better up, or we were able to bring their characters up so they could then get to that level of, okay, well, I want to go raid now with you guys. So it was a fantastic experience, I think, this week for the guild.
Yeah, a lot of milestones we crossed for sure.
Yeah.
Very excited. If either of you guys are listening, we appreciate it so much, and we're excited
100%.
for this coming up week for sure.
Yes. Well, I'll say, like, not only am I proud of them, they've stepped up to the plate. They're wanting to hit the end game content, and they're understanding it's a learning environment at the start of it. You're not going to be good at this game all the time, every time. So you got to learn it. You got to slowly live and breathe it a little bit, but it takes time. I mean, we're not pros either. Like, we're amateurs. We screw up all the time.
Yeah, definitely. So, Nick, you want to bring us through this incredibly long list of hot fixes? I don't know if we're going to have enough time to cover all this.
It's going to be an extremely long episode.
Yeah.
In the Pandarian remix, Holy Priest Echo of Light will now scale correctly when there's a level disparity. In Cataclysm Classic, Shaman Fire Elementals will now prefer targets that have their Master's Flame Shock active on them, and will switch to those targets with Flame Shock over targets without it.
Okay.
This check does occur once every several seconds, so there might be a small disparity in switching.
No, that just makes Shaman act more like it does in retail. Like, they fixed that already in retail, so they're just fixing it in Cataclysm.
Yeah, I think they're just bringing it down through all the styles of Warcraft we have now.
Right.
For the last one, under Cataclysm Classic, under Shaman as well, temporarily remove the Elemental Shaman 2-piece set bonus on the Burning Crusade Tier 4 set. This is because apparently there was a bug that had existed in original Cataclysm that they found later in Warlords of Draenor. And by removing it, it actually allows the Shaman to progress in their gear sets and not just be stuck.
Okay. That's interesting. That's very niche.
Yeah, it's very tiny, and that's it for top fixes. Jordan, do you want to take us into the coming week?
Yes, I'll talk about the holidays. So we still have the Midsummer Fire Festival still going on. It will end on July 5th. We do. The updated loot system that they're applying to this, I think, is very interesting. I think they're going to apply it to other holidays, which I think could be really exciting. So let's read what it says verbatim. We're changing the way the loot system for the holiday boss drops work. We have increased drop rates significantly for the first boss kill on a single account. Only the first attempt on a single Battle.net account will be eligible to receive the item drop. However, for each subsequent daily attempt on the boss with a single Battle.net account, the chance for the item drop will increase and continue to accumulate for each failed attempt. This change will allow players to spend less time working on a specific dropped item while providing an increased opportunity to get that item during the holiday. Cool all around?
I do and don't like it.
Why don't you like it?
How drastically are they increasing the attempt? Because I get pretty excited, and I can understand it from the player's perspective of trying for something so long and finally getting it. Like, I just got, the Horseman's Reigns or whatever the Headless Horseman mount is last year in Hollow's End. But I've been doing that for, I don't know, maybe 3 years over the entire time I'm playing WoW.
Right, now they make that way easier to get this next year, right?
Yeah, and that's, it takes away from those that have it, I guess, in the sense of, I really tried for it continuously. I mean, not continuously, but there were years where it's okay, I just don't give a shit or don't have the time. And there's years where it's no, I'm running this, and I'm doing this. For instance, I went and figured out the best percentage chance in order to get it to drop. And so I went and did all that every single time. And so did people that were with me, and I ended up getting it because I got lucky. But I don't know if it's pulling out the rug from players that have spent that time doing it, but it depends on the base drop rate for the item plus how drastically they're scaling that increase on each failed attempt. Because it could be still hard as shit to get stuff.
Right. Well, it makes it to where I think it's taking away from because remember, we're going to warbands, which we are going to be talking about in the Tavern Talk. Stay tuned.
Yes.
But they're moving towards this, where you don't have to have 15 characters that all run the boss. Like Onyxia, I could run 5, 6, 8 times, right, if I wanted to still try for it. And so that would be an advantage to me. Do you want that to be the expectation if you want one of these old mounts or one of these holiday mounts, is you have to run it on 5 characters to get it?
Well, I mean, I've only run... I wouldn't say I ran on 5 characters. Like, I've had various mains throughout my time in WoW. And the last main, my current main, Zara, the Ret Pally, is the one who got the drop. But I went through and I looked up on Wowhead and whatnot on how to increase the chances, even if it's like 0.5% increase or even smaller than that, to get the mount to drop. Because they baked that in already. So, I don't know. I feel like it's pulling the rug out a little bit, but it comes down to the math behind it. Because if you're just going to... And I'm fine with people getting it. I'm not saying don't get it. But it depends on how easy you're making it. Because as you take away the struggle to go get the cool shit, you make it less cool.
All right, so one last devil's advocate before we move on.
Yeah.
So imagine you've killed Sarkareth, the final boss of Aberrus, 350 plus times on several different difficulties.
Do you have these numbers in front of you?
No! Mount drop! I made the whole reason why my druid is leveled up high enough is to literally take
I thought we were
normal
going to talk about
runs
your legendary.
at Sarkareth. The legendary is a whole nother story. Anyway, yeah, we gotta move on. I'm done with the mount hunt. Like, Sarkareth murdered me. I quit. So we haven't even got through this week.
How many people still hunt Invincible's reigns and haven't gotten it? I do every once in a while, and I'll spend a few months in just going through ICC every week. Still haven't gotten it.
No, you probably never will, man.
Well, and the thing is because we looked this up, I think it was this week. Invincible has a better drop rate than the Headless Horseman's mount.
Right.
And, I still haven't fucking gotten it. And I've probably ran that more than I've done the Headless Horseman.
Yeah, interesting to think about. You did get lucky.
And that's why it's so cool. That's why when I get on the mount, I'm like, I'm proud to have it. It's awesome. Yeah, it goes on all my characters, which is cool. But I don't know, I feel like I really earned it. And I don't want that to be taken away. Because like I said, as we make stuff easier to get, we have to be careful on how easy it is to obtain. Otherwise,
right, it's still got to be rewarding.
Yeah, it still has to be rewarding to the player. It still should be a struggle to everybody, not just handing it out like free candy.
Moving forward, we haven't even got to the events this week, Nick.
I know. We're getting there, slowly.
We're getting there. So this is the end of Warsong Scramble. Oh, boo-hoo. And unfortunately, the dragon...
You don't like it.
Yeah, boo-hoo. And then Dragonflight Dungeon Event ends, which is if you were doing normal dungeons or carrying your buddies through Heroic, Winks Dalendor, Wink Necromage, I gotta get better about that. He wants to be identified as Necromage.
Yeah, it works.
We do have the PvP Brawl Cooking Impossible this week. This one's kind of goofy. It's going to feel kind of like a Capture the Flag, kind of. You have to bring ingredients back to your cook to make... It's essentially like Hell's Kitchen, World of Warcraft. You have to bring the ingredients back to them and run around. And
is this like... what is the... I don't know if it's a weekly or a daily or a smaller timed thing that happens. Just that event that happens over in the Tuskar area in the Azure Spine.
Yeah, the feast, or the soup. Or the big soup.
That's what it sounds like they're doing.
Yeah, it's same concept, except there's a lot of people trying to stop you and slow you down from getting your ingredients.
There's actual things going on with
player versus player experience.
Oh, that makes it more fun. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll have to maybe hop in there and give it a shot if anybody plays it. Please, if you're listening, play the Brawl. Make the queues shorter. So the good news is we have Time Walking Mists of Pandaria this week, though, which means this is a great time to bring up your buddies, a great time to level up your characters, a great time to do all that kinds of stuff.
I will say, with Mists of like the remix going on, I have been so okay with no more Panda content for a hot minute.
Well, that's okay. Back to Temple of the Jade Serpent and, oh my god, whatever the wall one is, the bug
what's the
wall
brewery
mission.
one?
Gate of the Setting Sun. And then that's, I can't remember the name of the brewery right now.
They're fun. I'm just like, I've done them so much now.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Either way, though, great way to level up with dungeons you already know. So pretty sweet. Take a look at the time walking. I'm sure there will be a weekly quest that'll give you some moderate gear. And that wraps up all the events and stuff going on this week. We don't quite have the 4th of July celebration yet. That will be next week. Nick, do you want to take us off with some whispers of the pre-patch event that we've heard?
Yeah, definitely can hit on that. Radiant Echoes, the pre-patch event, is going to begin on July 30th. Just so you're aware, you must complete a short quest that leads you to the Dalaran Chamber where you can teleport to Dustwallow March, Searing Gorge, and Dragonblight. Also, when Radiant Echo is active, you must port to the zones, slay lingering memories and remembered mobs to gather residual memories so that you can turn in for rewards. The whole event ends in slaying remembered Nixia, remembered Ragnos, or remembered Lich King, based on the zone you're in.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. We got to do this.
Yes, we do.
Especially because it's before the pre-patch event, but I want to get it done. Rewards from the pre-patch event include Warbound, eye level 480 gear, mounts, battle pets, bags, and a ton more. You can find the Quartermaster either in the Dalaran Chamber or in each of the zones. The event is most likely going to be available until the War Within Early Access begins August 22nd or when the expansion launches on August 26th. So you have about a month to get it done.
Yeah, they also mention here they're not promising what is going to be available during this early access. You see, they're like, most likely available during the access, but maybe not.
Right, so the best thing to do is, once it launches and we have that pre-patch event going on, to get in, get it done, and pretty much run it as hard as possible for that small time. Because if it does drop after or before launch, it's a 4-day difference. So don't just wait till the last minute to do it if that's what you're really wanting to get some extra stuff before the expansion. Jordan, do you want to tell our lovely listeners on the affixes we have coming in?
Oh, affixes this week, yes. We have Fortified, Volcanic, and Spiteful. Fortified is non-boss enemies have 20% more health and inflict up to 30% increased damage. This one's pretty straightforward. It is going to be trash week. The trash is going to hurt. It's going to be hard. You're going to be lusting on your first trash pull probably because they hurt. They are going to be tougher than bosses this week. We have Volcanic,
that's
which
what
reads
play.
Right, for real.
That Red Pally for the win.
Red Pally.
Wow, shit, today, dude,
You did
hit
some good murder.
Hit a mill.
Yeah, you hit a mill today. Moving
DPS-wise, in case no one knew what we were talking about.
Moving on to Volcanic. While in combat, enemies periodically cause gouts of flame to erupt beneath the feet of distant players. Inflicts fire damage to players within 2 yards equal to 20% of their maximum health and knocks them high into the air. This is more annoying than it is troublesome. Like 20% of your health is something that your healer will probably be able to deal with. It's not something you want to stand in because the knock-up will incapacitate you until you hit the ground again, which is not super cool. But this one is kind of a pretty tame effects. It'll knock you up in the air, so you definitely want to, if you're a caster, get out of it. Don't ignore it. But mostly for ranged. Melee, just keep on slapping and moving, Spiteful. Fiends rise from the corpses of non-boss enemies and pursue random players. So the tricky affix. Yeah, this is the tricky affix of the week. This is where you want to make sure that you either kill or CC the enemies as soon as possible. Slowing them, stunning them, things like that always helps. But any non-boss enemy has a chance to spawn one of these spiteful creatures. And I'm not exactly sure what the chances are, but it's pretty often they do it.
I honestly wish we just had, Zombieland double tap.
Right.
Just make sure it stays dead.
So definitely be focused on the spitefuls, try and CC them. Remember, this is a week to take things, like Enhanced Frost Nova and all kinds of stuff to CC the enemies for longer. Alright, so we have entered the end of the updates for the week. We've talked about fixes, we've talked about the holidays. I believe it's time for Tavern Talk, isn't it?
It is. We are good to go.
Alright,
fun section we have.
Yeah, actually, you know what we didn't decide? That who we're going to take a drink to, Nick?
Let's do a drink to Tyrion Fordring, one of the best paladins out of the entire lore.
To Tyrion. Right, for the light or whatever they say or something, right?
Depends on the order.
Yeah, for the Sons of Lothar or some shit.
Or some shit.
No, I always find it almost a little suspicious how fast our drinks show up in the Undercity.
How so?
Well, they show up really quick and they never really taste the same.
That's true. I wonder if they actually are able to taste it when half of them are missing their lower jaw.
Hey, chill. It's, at least they get your order right, and it's not like they can ask
but when
any
they talk
questions.
back to
They're
you,
like, It's like, uh-oh, dude, hold on, the innkeeper gave us a glare. Hold on.
Oh,
We
shit.
gotta chill. It's a little interesting being around here. I'm definitely the biggest around these parts. I should,
I don't
part
think
of me
you
almost
fit
feels
in the
like...
sleeping conditions here.
No, yeah.
Those
In the
weirdly shaped
coffins,
beds
you
over
mean?
in the corner.
Yeah, the coffins, that's the beds. Yeah, Undercity has an interesting commodities. I guess undead don't really sleep, so it's more for us.
Yeah, but I wish there was at least, a mattress in it, not just hardwood. It's so close to the stone that we're sitting on.
True.
And it doesn't hold heat.
No, it's not very warm.
And I don't think the green glow of the sewage is going to do anything for my complexion.
It is rather green around these parts. It almost it doesn't really highlight my scales that well, honestly.
No, you're going from red to green.
I know. Ew. I'm like poopy brown.
Well, at least my eyes fit in.
It is spooky. I don't think we're gonna get interrupted much here. It's quiet for sure.
Well, after we had to run from our mishap in Stormwind through Eloin and all the way up to here, I'm just not looking forward to the portal.
Yeah.
I get gas for a week every time we go through one. And
Yeah,
I wish we
you
had
missed the Zeppelin.
transport.
You like the Zeppelin ride.
Yeah. Well, I don't have gas. It's the best part. It's like IBS, but it's with portals only.
Portal gas.
Jordan, since we're here, why don't you hit us with the first topic?
So I did say I was going to talk a little bit about Pandaria and why I'm not really feeling it. I am at the point now to where I have done my heroic scenarios, I have done the LFRs, I have done the heroic dungeons, I have gotten all the pieces except my amulet, my necklace that you get from doing the normal raids, and I've just been trying to get the normal raids. And after an hour and a half, 2 hours of trying, could not get into a single group that would allow me to even tickle the normal. So it was pretty discouraging. It's like pumpers only want to pump. I guess they're like doing speed runs or whatever, but...
Well, and I will say, I see where you're going with it, because I know we've talked about it a couple times, and it's the aspect of if you didn't do the frogging or you didn't blow your cape up, you're not getting into anything pretty much. But it's also kind of supposed to be built that way too. I find the fact that people are getting through this content or the dungeons in seconds is ridiculous.
Right, like that Demon Hunter video we saw that completed it by himself in 13 seconds.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that's what it was supposed to be. We were supposed to get broken and things like that, but
Yeah.
now there's a barrier to getting broken now, which I'm
Well,
a little
and that's
disgruntled
only,
with.
and I can understand that, but that's also because of Blizzard taking the actions they did when it came to frog farming and all that stuff. So, and I mean, I think the Hosen farming's still going on too as well.
Well,
I don't think that's
there's a bunch of farms now. They can't stop it.
Oh no! Once people, I mean, that's the best thing about our community is we will learn how to break the game.
Yeah, they have said themselves we have the smartest gamers or smartest players. They say, yeah, and I agree with them. Some of our stat nerds are absolutely wild. We build simulators to run the game. Like,
Yep. Well, God, every Tuesday you and I spend at least half the time we're logged in, running a sim. And choosing the best piece of gear for each character in the vault. Like, we nerd out on it.
Community is made, yeah. Well, we'll move on from Panda. A little bit of a dark note. I'll give it another shot this week for sure. I'll dip into it some more.
And I need to spend some time in it too because I want to get more mounts and other things from this event. I just haven't bothered to get on, I'll be honest.
So let's go into something a little bit more controversial.
Oh, here we go.
Let's talk about our favorite and least favorite classes and specializations. Do you want to start us off, Nick, with what your favorite class is, class and spec, and why you like it, and then I'll go after you.
All right, so favorite, I don't think it's going to be a surprise. Paladin.
Rat Paladin? Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, so class overall, it's Paladin in general. I have always liked the lore of Paladin, even outside of World of Warcraft. That's why I also did Priest for a bit for the same kind of reasons. I thought the lore is really good. When it comes to Paladin, though, especially with some of the stories and the things I do in a career that we won't get into, it fits with the way that I am internally. So that's why I love that class so much. The stories that are in it, Tyrion forging the way he was as not only a paladin but a father. I mean, he went and he put his life on the line to make sure that he could see his son graduate when he was supposed to be outcast. And granted, we're talking about fictional characters, but to have that
outcast for a shitty reason. Listen to the lore podcast for sure for more info.
Yeah, no, definitely give it a listen. I mean, I love that class for the lore aspect of it, and it's also really good. Because my TISM clicks well.
You do click.
The Rat Pally it works, and I just smack hard with it. I'm learning how to do Holy, and I'm learning how to do tanking again on it. Tank again, not tank again on Paladin. But it is a very well-rounded class. I think it's fantastic. It's not one to where I'm stuck, whereas when I was playing Priest, it was either heal or damage. And now it's, okay, well, I can play a class that I love the lore of, I love everything behind it, and I can play one that is able to do everything, if that makes sense. And I like that. I like that versatility. Because sometimes my guildmates don't want to tank, they don't want to damage, they don't want to heal. That's fine. I just want to play the game with people I love to hang out with online. I'm fine with swapping over to my tank, my rat, or my holy paladin. I'm fine filling whatever slot I can, and I think that's why I really like it a lot too. Is it gives me that versatility to be able to play with anybody at any time.
Right. Yeah, I have
Jordan?
some experience in the switching rules.
What is your favorite class and spec? I guess.
So I will say that my very, very favorite class in Dragonflight has been Evoker.
Really? That's a far turn from Warrior.
Preservation Evoker has, even Devastation's a lot of fun. Augmentation's kind of weird. I don't necessarily like playing Augmentation, but it is a unique place, support class. It was our first shot at it. But I've really had a blast on Preservation. Preservation Evoker, I think, is my favorite healer. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of timing based. If you play it better, especially in PvP, you never run out of mana. You're always the priest or the shaman or the resto druid is always running out of mana before you are. If you can play it right, you play your cooldowns right.
Yeah.
And then plus I'm doing 2 or 3 times their damage. I'm absolutely blown away with the class. I think it's tons of fun. I do think my least favorite part about Evoker is 30-yard range is some kind of bullshit.
You have a tough time in whether it's raids or mythics, because if we get a mixed DPS group of melee and range, I watch.
Oh, if we get 2 or 3 right? Yeah, it's so hard. So hard to be in range. Like, my Dream Breath, like, what a joke. I'm not getting 3 of you in that.
God, no. Well, and this is why I love playing. Like, we have such a good combination, whether I'm playing the Ret Pally or something else. And mainly I play the Ret Pally with you when you play your Evoker. But I can see, like, I have my health bar set up to where I can monitor them and I can assist you, because I'll start sacrificing my AoE or my single target damage for when I have the 3 holy power. Because if I see that, we're in a hard spot, okay, I can start spamming my holy power to start healing other party members and give you some help, because I know you have that range issue, and I think that we mesh so well with that.
Right. Oh, it's really good. Well, in a paladin that's awake never hurts either, because you have so much utility, right? You can do so much.
It just is able to help so much. That's why I love it. It's such a good fit for any party.
Yeah, I've definitely really fallen in love with Evoker. So what if you had to pick a least favorite spec class?
Well, I wanted you to go first for least favorite.
Well, all right, then I'll go first.
Because I went first with favorite.
Fine. I'll go first.
Fairsies.
My least favorite, huh?
It can't be Hunter. That's fine.
Of all the classes and specializations that I've tried, my one that I've had the least fun playing was Balanced Druid, so Boomkin. It is ranged, it is weird, it is AoE kind of, or like super not. It feels really all over the place, like it doesn't feel like a unified caster at all. You're not buffing your mastery or your arcane or your intellect, you're just kind of being a freaking owl, I guess. And so it didn't feel very... I don't know, I like Feral Druid way more than I like Balanced Druid. So, if I had to pick a least favorite, it's probably a toss-up between any of the Warlock specs and Balanced Druid. I just don't like the way those feel. Dot range classes. So, Nick, what was, that's it for me. I don't want to go into it too much. I don't want to talk about, because there's a lot of Druid players out there that I'm sure absolutely love Boomkin. But I don't, sorry. Nick, what class do you not like?
So I have tried, from what I have played, the only one that I haven't fixed my head around, I guess, or just it feels gross when I play it, is Hunter. It's not, I don't think the class is shitty. I just don't think it meshes well with the way I like to play, is I think the major issue between me and playing that class. I've tried it. I've tried doing leveling with a couple times. I think it's cool that you get the pets and all that, but I don't like the additional management when it's I don't like the pet management, really, at the end of the day. It's easy for me to manage Holy Power and a Paladin because it's, okay, I know what spells create, I know what spells take away. And then on top of it, you get pets that, well, you got to have a specific pet out if you're going to have a tanky pet, a DPS pet, or what have you. And there's just a lot of bullshit that I just don't want to manage with it, and I just find it to be overburdening to me. That's the easiest way to explain it, why I don't like it.
Yeah, casters can be annoying because all the pretense, you have to have your hunter's mark on them, for example, or...
Well, and like I've played casters. I like the Warlock I did for a while. And I did Demonology, I think it was the tail end of the last expansion, and I enjoyed that. I got okay at it. I don't think I clicked with it too well, but it was still fun. I've done Priest before, mainly only Holy, so I was only healing at that time. But I've also done Mage and a couple other casters. I haven't done Shaman. I did do Druid when I first started playing, and I will never play that class again. It just left a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah,
I got to
Druid's
55,
different.
made a Death Knight, and went.
The Druid is different.
I'm sure, and I think the majority of the problem was the fact that I was a very young age and didn't understand the game in the context that I understand it now.
Right.
So that probably had to play into it as well.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say Hunter is probably my least favorite class, and it's mainly the management aspect of it and that prereq stuff you have to have with it. I'm just not a fan of doing a ton, I guess, is the way to put it. Whereas Paladin is very much just, I can smack it all day.
Yeah, show up and smack.
Right, and it becomes situational in how you manage that class in any mythic dungeon or any raid. But I don't know, it just continues to sit sour with me. I keep trying it, keep trying to beat my head against the wall and be like, just play it, you'll like it, it'll be good, you'll learn something. I just can't.
Well, no sense beating your head against the wall, right?
Right, well, I just mean I keep trying it every once in a while to maybe it is good or gotten better or I'll like it this time, who knows?
Well, so we'll come off something less controversial. A new WoW short story titled The Lilac and the Stone was released recently. Nick, would you walk us through a brief summary of that?
Sure, I can definitely do that. As Queen Regent Moria is exhausted, her son Dagron II is rapidly coming of age and stands to inherit the leadership of both the Dark Iron and Bronzebeard clans. But Dagron is bookish and odd. He would easily choose the company of his library over leadership. Can Moria inspire her son to take up his birthright, or will her fears of his future and the future of both clans prove true?
So there's a couple of things here, right? Like, among all the great, craggy, unfeeling boulders of our people, Dagran was always my flower. So there's a lot of good quotes coming from it.
Yeah, no, I think the writing in it was great, but everything Blizzard puts, I wouldn't say everything, but a good chunk of it is good.
And so definitely a good read. Definitely worth listening to. Wanted to shout it out. I gotta read it so that way maybe we can talk about it some more and
Definitely
learn more about the dwarfs, it seems, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited to have that. I don't know. I am and I'm not. I'm a bit tired of all the new races every expansion.
True.
But also, it's going to be cool to have dwarves on the Horde side.
Yeah, stone dwarves.
Granted, this is not on the stone dwarves, but still.
So the next thing we were going to talk about is warbands and the transition to them. As they are breaking down the boundaries of the guild walls, the servers, it's interesting to see. They're changing a lot of how the dynamic of the game is going to work ultimately.
Well, but I think it's high level dynamics that's allowing more freedom that's come out in other games, if that makes sense. In order to, well, and it makes sense because if, you know, I want to say that this is kind of coming from Final Fantasy because the way that the warband works is it's more account-bound focus versus character-bound focus. And so I can see them wanting to try to copy or do something like that in order to keep players inside Blizzard games, or Warcraft specifically. So I think it's going to overall be a great change for the game, but I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to be too drastic that is going to break the game or like cause lore issues or anything like that that we also have talked on in prior episodes.
Right. Because Final Fantasy was almost like a top-down approach.
Yep.
While WoW is doing almost like the bottom-up, like you have a bunch of different characters and you hook them into the warband and then you share an inventory through that. While Final Fantasy was like you have one character that does everything.
Yeah, and I like having the multiple characters. I think I loved it when they started doing the account-bound stuff. My mounts were shared. And so I think this is just... Yeah, I think this is going... Like, especially when they came out with transmogs alone.
Yeah.
Then when you started sharing that transmog set between everybody, it's great. It sucks when you try a new class and you have never played, like, Hunter
a mail or a leather.
Yeah, like you're missing leather or mail and you have, like, 4 things because you just randomly picked them up or they gave them to you. Like,
right, you get to look like a hobo or a hobo, right?
Yeah, you look like back in Classic or prior to transmogs where it's, well, I'm wearing what I got.
Wearing what it be.
Yeah, and it could be a complete CF.
Right.
But No, I think this is a step in that direction to give the player a more connected interface while still having the multiple characters, which I like a lot personally, because I don't do this normally. If I make characters on a realm, they're all going in the same guild. But I know there are some people that will be in multiple guilds or communities. But I think Warbands is providing people who play World of Warcraft the ability to still get the connection of having that single character that could be in multiple guilds or communities, and still be able to have that connected interface on the back end of your mounts, your transmogs, your achievements, because I believe that's actually becoming now account and not just character specific, which is really nice. So I think at the end it's going to be really good.
I'm excited for it. There's going to be problems with it. Like, they're still working out the achievements and how things are going to stack. And whether or not we're going to be able to share honor, gladiator points, or whatever, right?
Well, I mean, we had a whole list.
Or conquest.
I think we had a whole list in the last episode that went through what it is. But even I find it interesting that they devalue some of them, or like lost in. They tax them, so to speak, in the transfer. Right. But I mean, doing the achievement shouldn't be too hard to do, I don't think, as long as it depends how they coded it. I mean, I'm gonna get nerdy for a second. It depends how they coded it, but you should be able to take. I would believe every character has a specific name on every single realm. No one can have the same name, so you have a 1-to-1 identifier. So each character that currently has whatever achievements it does. You can take that character name, say these achievements happen, and if they're in a warband, you can have an if statement read, these characters are in this warband, mesh achievements, like anything that matches, fall out, anything that doesn't, they go in one list.
I'm sure the big picture is going to work fine.
Yeah,
the things I'm worried about is, like, if you want to, a very simple example, I guess, would be, let's say, achieve level 70, and you just had 2 characters that got to level 30 and 1 character that got to level 10, and then you achieved getting 70 levels. Like, there's a lot of nitty-gritty in there. There's a lot of opportunities for mistakes like that.
Well, but, so it all comes to, and here's the thing, too, is it comes down to, because I think it's 4 characters you're allowed in the warband. So is your achievement score changing based on your warband, or is your achievement score becoming tied to your battle.net? Because if it's tied to the warband, you have to do that if statement, and it has to get rerun every time based on the characters in that warband. But if you tie it to battle.net account, what you can do is take every character in all the battle.net. For instance, I have umpteen characters on 3 or 4 different servers. Mal'Ganis is home, as always. Mm-hmm. But you take the list of 1-to-1s that Blizzard knows that are under my battle.net account, and you take the list of achievements that have been completed by all characters across that, and you put them into a list and you drop duplicates. And that's my achievement list. It should be. Now, granted, this is a very simplistic way to go about it. Are there going to be is a different issue? Yeah, probably. It's vastly more complex than when I'm making it. But that's the context of what they have to do for either side, however they do it.
Right.
And that's coming, like, that's a coding perspective.
Yeah, don't let this take away from how awesome of an experience they're trying to make here. Like,
oh, God, it's going to be great. I love it. Like, I love the fact in the beta when you can sit your characters around the fire and, like, they're all hanging out. I love that. I think it's so cool.
I'm so into it, too. Yeah, it's really, really cool. But, so I wanted to wrap that up. Just remember, warbands are good. There's just going to be some bumps in the road, I'm sure, in development.
Yeah. Well, and there's going to be bumps in the road with everything new they try. It's the coding issue that they'll have, because they can see it be feasible in one aspect, and then they put it in the game and it completely breaks. Like today, what is the percentage you think of people that have had that camera issue that happened when we were running that Mythic and what was it, Halls? Where
Halls and Fusion final boss. I verted embraced on a warlock, and my camera went under the floor. And I died because I literally, it was like glitching in and out above and below the floor. I could not, it was like if I had epilepsy, oh my God. Like,
would have been going.
that would have been Spurgin. So,
Spurgin.
yeah, that was pretty frustrating. That pissed me off pretty bad. So.
Oh no, you were irate.
Right, well, because we were already, I won't get into it, but we were already really trying to get that dungeon down.
Yeah.
So.
We had some issues prior in the dungeon. Not that it was anybody's fault. We just...
No, well, yeah, it was just really...
We had some mishaps,
yeah.
and a couple were our own faults. Like, I died a couple times during prior boss fights, and it was like, we were out of time. We were just like, let's just get this shit done. And then you have a programming error happen that makes your healer dies, and it's like, for fuck's sakes, are you kidding me?
Right.
What else could go wrong?
Yeah. Oh. So yeah, definitely some bad luck for sure in the keys this week. So we touched on warbands. They're pretty sweet. We're excited for them. But solo shuffle. I want to talk a little bit about the differences I've had between my mage and my evoker.
Well, and you've mainly done the solo shuffles. I don't think I've touched a single solo shuffle.
They are tough. They are frustrating sometimes. The cool part about being a mage is I normally play as a healer, so I know better than to line of sight my healer. I know better than to walk behind pillars when the healer is on the other side of the map. I know better than to go upstairs.
Versus playing the healer.
And so it's amazing how easy it is to get elo as a mage when you stay inside of the healer. It's crazy. And then I play my healer, right?
Yeah.
There ain't nobody in range. It's like, god damn.
I think there were a couple times you got frustrated when we were doing 3v3s, and the pug we picked up was like not line of sighting you, and it was like,
no,
are you kidding
right?
me?
How many times, right? I have to. That's why I like playing with you and our buddy the Savage, because I can just say range.
And it's such a good combo. Oh my god, it's so good. I don't know if it's the fact that we communicate well, and like, yeah, we'll yell at each other in Discord, but it's not we're pissed off. It's, hey, like, this is like, as you do, you yell ranged at us because we need to be in range.
Right. Or right plays, right? Like priest, I'm gonna CC him, or don't touch priest. I just sleepwalked him, or whatever, right?
Yep. Exactly. And I don't know if it's that level of communication that we have, or if it's that we have a very weird but it works combo of monk, evoker, paladin.
It is very weird. People aren't used to it, especially when you touch of karmas. Touch of karma is so good.
It's great.
Is it they normally pick on the weakest link, which, no offense to Brother Savage, if you're listening, but he is normally the person they target first because he has the least health.
Yeah.
And so him using things like Touch of Karma or me using my time dilation is very powerful.
Yeah.
Because it turns... Well, Touch of Karma is broken. It turns like 50% of damage taken into damage, dealt. It's absolutely crazy.
Oh, yeah. It's great, though.
He almost got me in a 1v1 one time by Touch of Karma-ing me when I was about to pop off on my mage. I was like, oh, okay, we're
really?
gonna chill. Yeah,
That's
you can dispel it, though. That's why my evoker gets out of it. You can dispel it, but...
Oh, shit. I didn't even realize we had that. Ooh.
But powerful.
So is in 3v3s there's always a healer pretty much.
Yes, unless they are really nuts. In skirmies, yeah, because we'll get queued with a healer, but in 3, sometimes you'll get a 3 damage comp, and their goal is to murder fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that goes the same thing with, like, the 2v2s, like when we had the rep realities.
Yeah, well, a good murder squad is hard to deal with. So I just want to talk a little bit about my differences in solo shuffle. Nick, I'll ask you this question before I talk about it. What do you think WoW could do to make you play PvP more? What do you think they could do?
Well, so when I first started PvP, and this is way back in the day of Lich King, when I first started, I played Alliance, and it was on Azeroth server. I got bored of it really quick because we lost every battleground. I thought they were great. I thought they were fun because it was like playing with all these people and like, we're doing the Horde versus Alliance thing. Like, it's awesome. I also think I didn't understand my classes at the time that well. I have a vastly better understanding of my classes, And I think that is what makes it more fun, because I'm able to know what's happening, especially if we face off against the same class. I know what spells they're casting because of the way the character's moving, or the animations. And so I don't know if it's something that Blizzard could do that would get me to play more. I think it's the fact of now I just need to actually play more. Because I have an absolute blast when I play with you, and especially Savage too. Like when the three of us get together, yeah, we lose one or two once in a while, but man, when we click and our autism just like is connected, we have like a super autism.
Pure autismo.
Yeah, it's great.
Grand Autismo 4, honestly.
No, so I don't know if it's something that WoW could do to get me to play it more or less. I just need to, because I got really sick of it early on and just never got back into it. I just figured it was not for me. But as I've improved with class, especially Paladin, and I didn't play Paladin back in the day either. So for me, playing it now and learning it as well as I have, and having a different mindset to the game, it's provided a better play style in PvP. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's something they could do or not, but I've enjoyed the hell out of it so far. Like, you pulling me into it and nagging me to play, and I probably just need to nag at you to do hardcore.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, I like, but I also don't want to nag you into hardcore, and then you'd be like, oh no, I couldn't cast this spell. Oh, I've died. Guess we're done.
Well, right. No,
I don't want you to grieve on me.
No. I wouldn't do that.
Wink, wink.
Saying on the PvP, though, I do think they're planning on going back to a very vendor-based system, coming up with War Within.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? As someone who's not been in PvP that much.
Well, right now you have to get your, like, rings crafted, or you have to go get and re-roll a ton of pieces to get the right stats on a ring or on a specific necklace that give you the right stats, because it gets scaled up in PvP, right? And I think they're getting rid of that to be able to get all the gear pieces from the vendor. And so this makes it a little bit of, if you do professions and things like that, they don't help you in PvP anymore, which is downside boohoo. The good side is this allows them to balance it a lot easier. They control all of the gear that the players get within this PvP experience. They get to decide what stats they want the Evoker to have and then balance it in PvP based on that, rather than having them find a better verse mastery ring that they could randomly craft.
Okay.
And so they're trying to get back to, and I'm into it. I think that would help PvP a lot, just staying on Honor and Gladiator.
Yeah,
or Conquest.
Not having the crafting like we have to sometimes when it comes to, I don't know, a legendary.
Right, well, in PvE is a different argument. I think crafting has a place in PvE. As if you get rid of crafting and everything, you have no crafting, right? Why would you be a blacksmith if you're
Well, I'm
pieces?
not saying get rid. I mean, we've had crafting.
I just don't think it has a place in PvP.
Right, no, I get that, but I don't know if it has a place when it comes to a drop rate on an item at a boss.
Well, yeah, the legendaries is a different talk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying get rid of crafting, because I don't like the new system. I think it's fucking weird. I'm not a fan of it.
Too RNG. Too much RNG in it.
Yeah, it's. I like the old system where it was, my oranges are good, my yellows are okay, and my greens are maybe ever gonna give me a point. Like, I understood that. But anyway.
Well, that's all I really wanted to talk about in it. We were going to move to some player versus environment talk real briefly.
Yeah, if we get to that, can I get another beer?
Yeah, that's fine. Let me get another one, too.
Alright, so PvE talk. This was my big stickler for the week, so I'll take this one. We were in a mythic dungeon. I forget what the key level was, but it was enough to where people should have known how to operate their class. I mean, even in a Mythic 0. If there's some things to falter on, it's understandable.
Right, miss an interrupt here, right,
Yeah,
etc., but not...
And this is talking specifically about DPS. You know, I know people have complained about, what is it, Incorporeals, and what's the other one?
Afflicted.
Afflicted, thank you. like they complained about those affixes, but those are so easy to deal with. And granted, I'm coming from a paladin, like I have things that can deal with all this shit. But it takes 2 seconds out of my rotation when an afflicted or incorporeal comes up to do what I need to do. Now, it's great because Jordan will play his Evoker, and sometimes sometimes he can only deal with one of the afflicteds or one of the incorporeals.
Yeah, well, one of the incorporeals only have one sleepwalk, but you can heal them. So sometimes, if I have a proc.
Well, but even then, I can cleanse, and it's quicker than you healing them.
Yeah.
So, but I'm able to do that, and God, we were running. So before we even get into the mythic we had, we ran a Waycrest Manor. It was in the old style, so before they did the squish. But I think that was like almost a 16 or something. It was in the teens.
Well, we were Waycresting hard, even when they had incorporeals in the tiny fucking hallways.
Yep.
And,
but, I was outputting still fucking high damage as if I did not help you. And I was still assisting in healing and assisting on the afflicted. Like, it was just second nature to me. And I'm not sitting here like,
right, like walk and chew bubblegum, right?
Yeah, exactly. I love how you always put that. It's a walk and chew bubblegum moment. And so we finished, back to what happened this week. We finished this dungeon, or this mythic, and the guy whose group we had joined was another paladin. I think he was a red, because the tank is the one who made the snarky comment.
Yep.
And he was maybe only a couple eye level below me, not too bad. But could not output the damage level I did at all. And we had posted the damage chart and went, dude, we hard carried you. But then, and the only thing he had to come back with is, well, I did more, what was it?
Interrupts.
Yeah, he did more interrupts. Okay. But an interrupt on a paladin is an instant cast. You shouldn't be below 200,000 to 300,000 damage a second than me if you're only an eye level 2 or below me.
Well, I don't have a problem with 40,000, 50,000 damage a second on a paladin.
No, yeah.
Unless they're out healing me, which they weren't.
No, all he was doing was interrupts pretty much.
Pretty much.
And I watched him eat mechanics repeatedly.
Yeah, he took a lot of damage.
And so
unfortunately, the damage taken chart, is always, the tanks are immune to the damage taken chart. But.
Right. Yeah, but you shouldn't be doing half or more than the tank.
Nope. No, I was actually walked through today. We went through some of the charts I showed you what a good tank looks like. We were almost splitting the healing.
Well, and that's because I started to get worried because there were a couple dungeons where my chart was showing I was almost half of them. Like, I swear to God, I'm not eating mechanics. Like, what is going on? But it comes to this. Some of that is
threat. Some of that's threat.
Yeah. Well, and we were doing Mythic Zeros, and I am outputting enough damage.
Well, that tank was ripping his hair out. The 4 whatever I let him in at like 476 or something. Poor guy.
We put him in a bad environment.
My mage and your freaking paladin. There's no way he's gonna hold threat.
No, but that's different though. Like, he was doing the best he could, and I came off damage when I knew I was pulling a heavy amount of threat.
He did good work, too.
Yeah,
and our healer was also like 485.
The healer and
we
the
were
tank
doing them a favor.
In that dungeon were fantastic. But this...
Yeah, great players.
Yeah, this paladin had started he just had an attitude with us at the end of it when we said we did actually carry him. And we proved it. Yeah, I didn't get enough, as many interrupts as he did. Not the end of the world.
Yeah, it was just Starky Boy, and we called him out.
He was, well, and I think he was upset about it, but I would not take things when you get called out on stuff as an attack on you. It is, even over a text, take it as a learning experience. I love, like I said, the way that you put it of a walk and chew bubblegum moment. You have to know, especially to become a good DPS, the chart is not your obsession. Yes, right. I output a lot of damage. I'm very proud of it. The last 2 episodes I've talked about hitting 960.
Well, let's make clear, actually, something I just thought about.
Yeah,
we gotta talk about that paladin that we had in that 0 is different than the paladin we're talking about now.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
The 0 guy was really cool. The 476 was definitely trying his best for sure.
Yes.
Did some good work. The paladin we're talking about
We were running through a guildie today through Mythic Zeros to get geared. That's why we were having that issue. Well, not really an issue, but that's why we were having that.
Right.
I guess problem or issue.
And I was bringing in lower people because you were going to pump and I was going to pump.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it helps them. Like, yeah, they're not in the guild, but we can just damage downrange and carry them.
Think about think about the vault they get, right? Like
exactly. The more we clear out of that, help them clear, and better we help them clear content, the better vault they get. Even if we don't know them, I don't give a shit. They get a better vault. That means someone in this game is playing a better character, and they're happier.
And they'll do more damage in the next one, or more healing, or whatever, right?
Yeah. But to the original Paladin problem, I guess, that it just irked me that the only thing he had to call out was the fact that he did more interrupts. And over the course of a mythic dungeon where we did not make time because he kept dying
of his damage
and his damage, like, and that's a frustrating thing. We were doing a I think it was like a +4 or 5. You have to output damage. You are a DPS. Yes, your primary goal is damage. It does not mean get obsessed with the chart. It just means put damage down range effectively. If that means you do have to take a second or two off your rotation to take care of an affix, an interrupt, that's fine. That's what you should be doing. And if you're a paladin or someone who can assist in heals, if it's bubbling, damage mitigation, what have you, that's fine. If you're helping out someone in the party to get the job done, great. But to be 200,000 to 300,000 damage a second lower, and then bitch that, well, I did all these interrupts.
Right, to get 70k overall. It's like, come on, dude, you're a healer.
Exactly. Like, you do as much damage as a healer. Why are you playing... not why are you playing this class, but, like, look at what you're doing. The whole problem. So I get the takeaway from this, I guess, is understand, especially as a DPS, to walk and chew that bubble gum. And, I mean... And learn that it's okay to fall on the chart to assist the group overall, but that your main job is that chart, but to not get obsessed with the numbers, if that makes sense. Like, it should not be your main focus to be number one.
Yeah, definitely shook some rust off the Evoker doing some of those mythics. I learned a lot about the new reversion set, the new reversion tier set. Got to pull 180, 190k heals on fights sometimes.
Dude, you were killing it. I mean, there were some times where I was like, we're not making it through this fight or this pull because the tank pulled too much, and Jordan's just sitting there just healing the shit out of it. Blowing
cooldowns, baby, like pew 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 pew.
I'm watching you fly around and I'm trying not to get dizzy.
Lots of pew pews. So while I'm a little bit on the topic of Drakthir, I do want to talk about how they are planning on opening up the Drakthir to doing some other classes.
Yeah.
They are going to let Drakthir, so specifically the Evoker will be a Drakthir specific class still. He will only be able to play Evoker as a Drakthir.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. The difference is now Evokers will be able to play mages and warriors coming up with the War Within.
That makes sense too.
And so I think the Drakthir are super cool. I'm a big dragon boy. I think dragons are super fucking cool. They're giant fire-breathing lizards.
The lizard wizard.
I can actually have a lizard mage. And so I'm really... kind of breaks my character lore. Those that know me well is like all my characters like know each other and have like a little lore. And so my Pandaren mage is married to my Pandaren monk. And so things are going to get a little weird.
Just poof! Oh my god, it's a lizard now.
But I just don't know if I can... that's what the arcane magic does to you. It turns you into a lizard, right? Too much.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I hear all the time. I don't know why Jaina hasn't turned into one yet.
Right. Sniffing that arcane meth do crazy things to you.
Ugh.
So maybe I can write it in somehow. Maybe Punksook could get over the fact that his Pandaren wife is now a lizard. We'll have to see.
I'll pay for your character race change, and I'll pay for a name change if you change it to the Lizard Wizard.
We'll see.
I'll pay for it.
Yeah, well, you just doxed me. Now there's going to be a gajillion Lizard Wizards in Mal'Ganis. We'll see. We'll see. I'll come
All
up with a
codes
good name.
exist for a reason. That's why all my characters are named Zara.
True. True. Well, I think that wraps up Tavern Talk. Nick,
It does.
You want to send us out?
Yes, I can. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of the Valley of Spirits. We're your hosts, Jordan and Nick, your go-to Horde players. Join us in Veldraken on the Mal'Ganis server and look up our guild, the Electric Boogaloo, for some epic adventures. Stay connected with us on social media. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or X as it's known these days, by searching the Valley of Spirits podcast. Don't miss out on our latest updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more. Until next time, may your quest be glorious and your loot plentiful. And as always, for the Horde.
For the Horde.